Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we're talking to, I guess, a new nailed member, LED Supply Co. in Colorado. You know, they're super interesting. I mean, we talked to Brian and Webb about this, Greg, and that is that they don't sell anything but LED.
True. They got in the business kind of when LED was starting, and that's all they do. They had one case of fluorescents, I think, in case anybody wants those. But otherwise, it's all LED.
All LED all the time. I can't say that for me. I still sell lots of legacy lamps, but that's my business model. So interesting. Brian and Webb, thanks for coming on the show, and enjoy your time in Nailed. Woo! Of course, this episode of the podcast and a lot of episodes sponsored by Keystone Technology. So you go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. Greg, other than their Nailed membership, which is the foundation of Keystone's success as a company.
Absolute foundation.
No, I'm just kidding, Ira and Fred, but you know what I mean. It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But what is it? Why is Keystone so innovative, man? There's a couple other companies like them that are like that, but there just seems to be this innovative streak in Keystone, listening to the market. What is it? Is it all Josh Brown? Is it coming out of Fred? Is it Ira? What is it, man? You talk to him.
I think that's a key is they actually listen to what is needed, and then they react. It's not a slow process. It's not, let's think this thing through for 2-3 years and let everybody else take it over. They look into it and they say, this should be something that's available to the market. We can make it. We're going to do it. We get it out there. They put a nice price on it. They have great service. They have stock, everything about it. So it's a great distributor, or not a distributor, great manufacturer of lighting product that distributors should buy from. Definitely.
Everybody needs to have Keystone in their book, in their vendor book, so on their line card. So go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. Right now, we got Brian and Webb, new members of Nailed. Thanks for listening, folks. Here it comes, coming out hot. Welcome to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, Brian and Webb.
Thanks you. Thanks for having us.
Well, I'll say hi to Greg Eric.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, guys.
Nice to meet you, Greg.
Thanks for having us here.
So I think this is my second time to Denver, and I find it a bit of a progressive place. Let's start off with, how did LED Supply Company come to be a thing?
It's Brian's fault. Yeah.
He's to blame.
So we saw some of the progress that was kind of happening in LED lighting. This was 10 years ago. So this is our 10th year in business. And decided that it was an interesting field. We were both doing totally different things at the time. None of us had backgrounds in lighting. And we started two companies when we founded LED Supply. We started LED Supply and LED Grow Supply. The cannabis boom was happening in Colorado, and we thought it would be interesting to develop LED grow lights for the cannabis industry. So we're developing LED high bay lights for cold storage warehouse lighting on the LED Supply Co side, and grow lights on the cannabis side.
What was there one specific item you saw, or what was the indicator for LED that you saw?
So I was in technology. I was working for a Google startup at the time. Just kind of saw some of the progress. Thought it was very intriguing. Gotcha. Somehow was drawn to it, and we kind of founded these companies. We had no idea what we were doing. Started manufacturing products. Made a lot of mistakes, but had a lot of successes. LED Grow Supply kind of took off really quickly, basically bankrolled the rest of the company. LED Supply Co. took a little bit of time, but once it did, we didn't really have time for both. It was running quickly, and we decided that we're going to abandon LED Grow Supply, focus on LED Supply Co. And that's the business today. We've grown a lot. We have 3 offices across the U.S. We have about 50 people or so, and do business in 40 or 50 states per year.
Wow.
So it's come a long way.
Good for you.
Those 3 offices, if you're doing them in 40, 50 states, I assume a lot of it's online.
Online, we have a lot of national accounts that we service, as well as large ESCO customers that bring us into all sorts of different projects all over the U.S. So
nice.
Kind of all over the place.
And so you mentioned that LED Grow Supply was you guys making your own lights?
Correct.
And then you just stopped doing that altogether?
We just didn't really have time for it.
Yeah, we kind of took a look at the market and said, even though LED Grow Supply was taking off rapidly, and we knew it was going to be kind of a booming industry, we realized that the white light industry was more of a larger market. So we took the opportunity to focus on the bigger market and go for white lighting. Also at that time, it was somewhat serendipitous. I mean, 2009, 2010, not a lot of distributors were out there pushing LED lighting on the commercial side of things. Not a lot of rep agencies knew how to sell LED lighting. And so when we came to the market and went to the largest manufacturers and said, hey, we're here. We don't care about any of the incumbent technology. We don't care about the fluorescent technology. We just want to sell LED lighting. They welcomed us with open arms, which is somewhat unique. You look at our line card and we have GE right next to Philips, right next to Eaton, right next to Cree. And back in those days, 2009, 2010, you didn't really see that. Most distribution houses were a GE house or a Philips house. So the fact that we were able to compile a pretty robust line card early on really made the white lighting opportunity look interesting for us, and that's why we pursued it.
You're calling it the white lighting opportunity. That's interesting. I haven't heard that term before. How did that come about? Is that an LED supply term? I've never heard it in the lighting business, and I've done 200 podcasts in the lighting business.
Interesting. Yeah. So maybe it was because we had LED Grow Supply, which was colored lights, and LED Supply Co at the time. I don't know how the term white lighting came around, but
it's because the grow lights, if you've seen, especially an older version of a grow light, it glows pink or red or purple, and I think that's probably why we kind of dubbed the white lighting industry.
I think so. But yeah, that's why we kind of went down that road, and it was a good move for us. I mean, we had very rapid growth, and today we distribute for over 300 different manufacturers and do some really cool projects all over the place.
Wow. It's, there's a power in being manufacturer agnostic when you approach customers. When you're not bound to a specific brand, I think it really frees you up to do what's best for the particular client. I know Greg and I have talked about that a lot over the course of making this show. What's your role in the business, Brian?
So I'm the CEO.
Okay. Hot dog, top dog.
Basically, it just means I have to do a lot of work. But Webb and I are really partners. CEO, COO, but we kind of do everything.
Sure.
We also are able to cover each other whenever one is out. So
that's always good.
It's been fantastic having a partnership, because doing it all yourself can be very daunting and you can't really ever take a breather. So it's nice to have someone who can back you up if you have to take a sick day or you want to take a vacation. A lot of people don't have that availability.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
How much? So you guys entered the lighting business sort of in the dawn of the rebate era. Okay. And you guys have grown fantastically. You said 3 locations, 50 employees. You service almost every state in the United States with projects. How much of your growth is directly related to rebates, and how much is it purely organic?
Sure.
I think rebates play a significant role in our lighting retrofit projects today. They play a pretty significant role in our new construction projects as well. Not a lot of folks take advantage of rebates on the new construction side, but certainly in the retrofit space, and certainly early days, rebates were very significant. I can think back to when a Cree 2x4 CR24 was, $230 distributor net cost, and the rebate from Xcel Energy here in Colorado was $125.
Yeah, something like that.
And so that would obviously play a pretty big role in a project.
Sure.
And so I think rebates from the inception of LED lighting, with the expense being so high in the beginning, certainly was immensely important for us to be able to get some of our retrofit projects done. And then, you've seen rebates drop. The levels have dropped over time as the price of the LED fixtures has dropped. And I think that's appropriate. But still today, I mean, rebates can easily make up, with the commoditization of the products and the price point dropping, rebates can still make up 20, 30% of a project cost to an end user in some cases. So it's still very significant.
So what percentage of your business is new construction versus retrofit?
We're getting close to the 50-50 mark. I'll tell you, interestingly, when we started out, we were nearly 100% retrofit.
Yeah.
And Brian and I took a look at that about 3 or 4 years ago and said, this is great business today, but long term, that's not gonna last. And so we made a concerted effort to focus more on the new construction side of things and develop those relationships and pursue that business. And now today, I'd say we're probably 60% retrofit, 40% new construction.
Yeah. give or take.
Yeah.
And you're working with general contractors on the new construction, or architects as well, or
General contractors, architects,
kind of the whole gamut?
yeah, I mean, kind of wherever we can get in. Oftentimes we'll go straight to the end user, and a lot of times that's really interesting to get involved with the end user and help kind of play an advisory role.
Yeah, I always feel like that's missed a lot of new construction. When I go into a building after the fact, I don't do a lot of new construction, but I see a lot of things like, why didn't they consider that? And,
So
we take that proactive approach.
Yeah, for sure. We've had a lot of success with developers that are doing, either multifamily sites or a lot of commercial sites all over the country, and we kind of help on the spec side, distribution side, and kind of anything else we can help with on the value side.
And do you guys offer turnkey service as well, where you have electricians, or do you have your own electricians here?
So we do. So we own another company called LSC Contracting, which is basically an electrical contractor. It allows us to do national account work basically across the U.S., which is really what that focus has been.
Nice. I assume you sub it. And
we sub the majority of our electrical work. Yep. It's really just kind of a core team that allows us to focus on those projects.
Nice.
Yep.
And do you have a percentage of the projects you do where you guys do the install as well?
So obviously just on the retrofit side, I don't know, what percentage exactly do you think we do?
Of all of our retrofit business, I mean, it's not that significant. I'd say 20 to 30% is done turnkey by our team. And again, that's a team that focuses on national accounts and regional accounts, and we kind of needed to bring that piece in-house in order to go out and win some of those accounts. Yep. And so that's what we did. But still, a lot of our business today is stock and flow business to electrical contractors here in town, and we're careful not to bite the hand that feeds us in that sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you guys sell legacy technology?
We do not.
Don't have any.
And really, we have not sold any legacy technology since we started the company. Even 10 years ago, if you looked, sure, we sold like a case of fluorescent lamps here and there because someone wanted something to finish out a project. But for the most part, we sold 100% LED.
So if a contractor comes here and asks you for fluorescent, you say, no, we're going to give you this LED tube and that's it?
Yeah, it's very rare, given our name, for a contractor to come to our facility and say, hey, I need a whole bunch of fluorescent fixtures.
I think we got a few cases of fluorescent in the back from that one customer that went out of business, and we bought up their inventory for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, and it's still sitting in inventory, yeah.
You know what's funny is that whenever and obviously I'm biased, and so I'm going to say, of course I'm going to say this, but I actually truly believe that end users are better off with a distributor in the lead of their project, or buying from the distributor and having the distributor arrange the contracting and pick the manufacturing and supply it to them, just because of the model of a distributor in terms of knowing what a customer bought in the past, when they bought it, who they bought it for. Most contractors don't know that kind of information. When you call up an electrical contractor and you say, whoa, remember the lights I bought from you 4 years ago? They're going to, no, I don't remember those at all. I bought them from LED Supply Company, maybe, So I think that there's a lot of people talk about the crisis in distribution. I don't think there's a crisis. I think there's a little bit of redefining of what a distributor does. And you guys are saying no legacy lamps.
Right.
That's a philosophical choice.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, again, our company was founded on LEDs. So for us to sell legacy lamps would be kind of like sacrilegious to a certain extent. But I do agree with you. Distributors right now are in an interesting position. I think a lot of the legacy distributors are in some sort of a crisis, whereas we are a very unique animal. We do most of our own specification in-house. Because we distribute for 300 different manufacturers, we can kind of pick and choose what we like for different types of projects. And that's actually given us a nice leg up on the new construction side. I mean, retrofit was always our bread and butter, but new construction has become almost half of our business in a 4-year period. So I think that's happened because we're good at that side of it. We can take on some of those additional roles, add some additional value to those customers, and provide more flexibility.
You have an in-house team then that does photometrics and all of that. You guys handle all that here.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do
So you
that.
can pick and choose your fixtures and manufacturers.
Exactly.
Got it.
See, I'd walk away from the church I go to with my family. I don't like. I know they asked me to do the we don't do lighting design. We only do retrofit and I also own an electrical contracting company as well. So I have a similar setup to you guys. And, but you know, I don't like the interior design element of it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That element of it is like completely foreign to me. How is either of you the lead on that, or did you find someone to help you with that?
We've got partners that help us when we need to have, kind of high-end interior design. I don't think you want Brian or myself picking what chandelier you're going to be putting over your stairwell. It's not our specialty, and we don't try to say that it is. If we need more architectural stuff, we'll lean on some partners that we have around town that focus and specialize in that. More so, we do our design work on commercial and industrial. So if we need to go in and do a warehouse, that's easy for us to do. If we need to do photometrics for a parking lot, that's easy for us to do. All of our sales guys are trained on how to do your basic photometrics. So from that to that extent, I mean, we don't do a lot of the picking and choosing of the decorative fixtures unless we're asked to. We can make suggestions, but we always leave that in the hands of the end user or the contractor. Our photometrics and design is more commercial industrial based.
Gotcha. Now, do you guys manufacture product anymore? You talked about you used to do the grow light. Do you guys have anything else you're looking to do?
Yeah, so we've always kind of maintained kind of an OEM side of our business called LSC Technologies, basically just LED Supply Co. Technologies, not that unique, but it's been a good little side business for us.
Sure.
From that business, we actually just spun off a new company called Puro, which is a disinfection lighting company. We think this is kind of a new niche that's really interesting. We have a proprietary technology that will disinfect an entire room in a 30-minute period. So kill 99.9% of all bacteria, viruses, and fungi within the space. And that has been kind of taken off over the last year. We've been focusing a lot of attention on that and basically building that out, building out some new products. But we think it's a really interesting category moving forward.
Now, is that something you guys come up with, or you had somebody that helped develop the technology that works here and partner with?
So it was actually one of our partners brought us kind of this unique UV technology, and the company behind it had engineered some really, really interesting technology, but was having difficulty figuring out how to bring it to market.
Sure.
So our partner brought it to us and said, hey, we think this might be interesting for you guys. We took a look at it. I had some engineers kind of evaluate it, and they said, hey, this is actually very intriguing for the healthcare space. You guys should take a look at this. So after doing some more due diligence, we decided to build a brand around it with kind of this UV disinfection as the core.
When you say healthcare, you mean pharmaceutical as well, right?
Pharmaceutical as well.
Or is that a separate division? Like healthcare is frontline healthcare workers in hospitals and nurses, and pharmaceutical separate, like clean room, or are you guys looking at that the same way?
I'd be looking at it the same way.
Yeah, healthcare is pharmaceutical and hospitals and
correct,
and
clinics and urgent cares and acute care centers, all sorts of different applications in the healthcare space. Additionally, we're finding success in professional sports, Division I.
With this disinfection?
Yes.
What are they doing there? Getting rid of the staph infection stuff that all these guys end up with on their legs and stuff?
Exactly right.
Exactly. So they're using it to disinfect spaces within.
That's a big problem, actually, that staph stuff. You hear about it a lot.
If your top player for the Denver Nuggets is out for 2 weeks with a staph infection,
6 weeks sometimes.
How much is that going to cost the team? And
sure.
That you can turn around an ROI proposal based on something like that if you have a real life scenario.
I really love it. It's so sexy, isn't it? That disinfection stuff. When you hear about it, it's like I was on a plane with an orthopedic surgeon. He was sitting beside me, and his family was there, and we were on this plane. And I was telling him about disinfected lighting, and he's like, "Yeah, you know how much a lawsuit costs us?"
Exactly right.
And his reputation, if one of his clients gets sick, they don't like it, dude. They don't want any part of it. It's not like, oh yeah, the lawyers do it. The doctors don't want it. The hospitals don't want it. That nobody wants that. So it's actually a really sexy, exciting space. I mean, you can get, like, never mind energy savings. Now you're into that, what was that, 300 argument? I don't know what it was. I got to get this off here for some.
Put that hat off.
I'm sweating. But yeah, it's just when I think about this disinfection, that's the first time I've ever seen lighting leave, like, legitimately. They talk about circadian and health effects. But this disinfection thing, if it's legit, you're actually in that 300 range now for the first time legitimately. You're taking away liability. You're helping to clean the room. And what was that other guy we interviewed saying? It actually cleaned the other rooms as well because the air was cleaner in that room. It actually transitioned to other areas that didn't have the lights, had less bacteria. So because the ducts are interchanged between the rooms, the air from the one room was going into the other, and cleaner air was everywhere related to where these in the adjacent rooms around.
That was kennel, I think.
Kennel manufacturing. That's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, with Indigo Clean.
Yeah, we talked to them about it. It's super exciting. I think it's the most exciting place lighting is right now, even more than horticultural, circadian, health effects. I think the disinfection stuff is the most exciting, payback wise.
Yeah, I mean, we would agree with that. And so that's, we don't go in a different direction that often. This was something that we found very, very intriguing. And we think there's a ton of applications. So one of the largest NBA teams in the country already put it through their entire facility. We're working with a whole bunch of different NFL teams, some baseball teams as well as a whole bunch of different D1 athletics.
But how about community showers like your local pool?
The use cases are endless. Talk about nurseries.
Sure.
If your child goes to daycare, if you ever send a kid to daycare, you know how sick they get. Would you like your daycare to have disinfection lighting? How about on cruise lines? You hear about people getting sick on these cruise lines. So the use cases, you can.
I'm never going on a cruise again. But
you can run.
No,
wild.
seriously, nightmare, dude. I didn't get sick, but other people got sick on the cruise, and it's brutal for them, man. Yeah. It's like the worst sicknesses that they've ever had, dude.
Yeah.
Now, what are the unintended consequences? What's coming down the pipeline on this disinfection stuff? Like, is there any problems? Has it hurt us? Is there something that we've heard that, the light wave also kills the macular degeneration of the whatever? Is there something like that we should be worried about?
So there's a few core technologies that are making it to market right now. You had mentioned Indigo Clean. They use a 405 nanometer technology, which is a near UV technology. Our technology actually uses a UV technology. So UV non-visible, it's not going to be on when you're actually in a room. So we have built-in occupancy detection. Correct. So 405 is going to be operating in a space when you're actually in the space. Okay. And then they have kind of like a high power mode that will turn on whenever a space is vacated. Our units will only turn on whenever a space is vacated. And our units are meant to disinfect a room in a short period of time. So it's short bursts of light, primarily broad spectrum UV, and we will disinfect a whole room in 30 minutes, like with a 99.9% kill. With the continuous disinfection technology, it's also a very, very interesting technology, you're disinfecting over very long periods of time. So sometimes 24, 48, 72-hour periods. And to get to a 3-4 log kill, which is like a 99.9 or 99.99% kill, it might take a very long period, whereas we can achieve that in an hour or less. So 2 different applications for it. Ours can be used in more acute settings where there really is a need for high-level disinfection. Continuous disinfection can be used while you're in the space, but it's going to provide a lower level of disinfection.
It's just part of a strategy.
Exactly. So these are only one component.
Yes,
if you don't clean your space well, you can have the best technology in there and it's not going to be that effective. But this will help just decrease the chance that someone can track something within that space. So for professional sports, we're doing a 1 or 2 hour deep clean cycle every night. You'll get a 3 or 4 log kill basically throughout the entire space. Operating rooms, the same thing. We're actually finding really interesting applications in air handling units as well.
Yeah, for sure. Inside the ducts and stuff like that, right?
So
kind of like water with the UV lamps inside water, water treatment plants. So like even Denver's water treatment plants has these enormous light boxes that the water goes through to treat it for bacteria.
Exactly.
You could do the same thing with air for sure.
Precisely, and as well as decreasing bacterial buildup on cooling coils within air handling units, because that can decrease HVAC efficiency. That was not what we originally intended, but every hospital that we brought it to basically was like, hey, we have this issue, can you guys help?
Yeah.
So it's been an intriguing vertical for us. We think there's a tremendous amount of applications. Basically, anyone that you bring it to, you kind of explain what it does, they get it in 30 seconds, and then they're telling you what applications you should be using it in, which is a good place to be. If someone can figure out what a technology does, how it can help them in a short period of time, then you're typically onto something.
What type of fix are you putting it in? Is it 2x4?
So we have a proprietary fixture I could have shown you, but so our largest fixture is actually 6 inches by 24 inches.
Okay.
And the only reason it is that big is so that it can fit within a standard ceiling grid.
Yeah.
We have a smaller fixture that's about 6 by 8 inches that can be installed in hardlit ceilings. We have flanges for drop ceiling or for wall mounts.
So you'd put it. Does it light as well?
It does not. So
Okay,
ours
so
is
it's
only disinfection.
Got it.
Yep.
The next iteration of the product, we've looked at integrating it into a standard light fixture, whether that be a 2x4 or a low bay or a high bay. And in certain applications like food processing, for example, it might make a lot of sense to integrate it into like a vapor tight low bay. And that's something that we're looking at doing. But as it stands today, that product is just simply a disinfection product.
Got it. We are in Denver. There's horticulture lighting. What are you guys doing with that now then? Are you...
So strangely enough, we're actually not that integrated into the horticultural lighting scene. We do think that there's some really interesting applications for Puro in that space for disinfecting during crop turnovers, decreasing mildew growth, powdery mildew, stuff like that. But at least on the grow light side, we actually haven't been that focused on it.
Ever since we kind of abandoned the LED grow supply company back in 2011 or so, it's been something that I wouldn't say we've avoided the grow industry, maybe in the beginning because it was kind of the Wild West. A lot of interesting folks you were dealing with before there was enough regulation in place. Certainly that's the direction that the horticulture industry is headed, and we knew that. Brian knew that back in 2009 that it was going to be LED. One might say we were a little before our time in that sense. But the projects are really enticing when you look at them. The sales cycle is particularly long, and it seems that no matter who you're dealing with, they want to test the light out and make sure that they can achieve the same crop growth that they have with their high pressure sodiums. And so that can be a challenge. And then there's a lot of different elements that go into a cycle. And so if let's say the nutrients were off a little bit, or the water was off a little bit, or the humidity in the air, or the amount of time the lights were on, there's a lot of different elements that can go wrong. And when you have a new lighting technology in a grow and something does go wrong, you don't achieve that same crop that you did on the last grow with high pressure sodium, the light becomes the easy scapegoat. And so those are some challenges that I think we got a little bit tired of when we were in the grow industry, and said, we can focus elsewhere.
Nice.
It's interesting. Before you went to the horticultural, I was thinking that there's something that the sun disinfects as well. Actually,
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's natural for light to be a disinfector. It's nothing new. In fact, you're actually doing what light does, what the sun does for the earth anyway. You're just adding it to an electric light fixture.
Correct. And so, the sun produces broad spectrum UVC, UVB, UVA. UVA and UVB really penetrate the atmosphere. UVC typically reflects. You get a small percentage that makes it through. UVA and UVB can be used to kill bacteria, viruses, fungi, but really UVC is actually the strongest source for germicidal disinfection. Our fixture produces an extreme amount of UVC to be effective against a broad spectrum of
intermittent
pathogens.
Exposure doesn't hurt people.
It does not.
If they were under it all the time, there would be an issue.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so naturally our lights won't go on when you're in the space, and they'll turn off and resume their cycle as soon as you vacate. But you don't want to be exposed to a tremendous amount of UV. There's a lot of research out there that shows that's not very healthy. Our light does 2 millisecond bursts every 6 seconds. So it's a short burst every 6 seconds. The amount of actual exposure is very, very limited, but it's enough to kill pathogens. It's not enough to damage any type of material within the space or really do harm to anything else in the space.
What was that scientist we met at Light Fair, French guy?
David Aurelius?
Yeah. I don't know if his name is
Aurelius.
Aurelien David. Aurelien David.
The other way around, yeah.
Yeah. So, PhD lighting. He says people get damaged by light from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get damaged from light from indoor unless it's flicker. That was his point. Flicker proved it. If there's flicker in LED or flicker in thing, yes, that's not good. But other than that, any damage that comes from light comes from the sun. That was his point that he made. And I may be paraphrasing, could be wrong. You can come on early at any time and talk about how I'm wrong. But yeah, so people that get concerned about that, I'm not so I think that's a lot of fear mongering in that sense.
Sure.
That stuff.
I mean, listen, with any type of like UV light source, you can do real damage if you provide a high amount into a room that is occupied.
Sure.
There's also been a decent amount of research on near UV and blue light causing retinal damage and some other issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there can be, the whole point of our lights is to, kill pathogens and not be on when a space is vacated. We are doing some research currently with a couple spectrums of UV that are showing to be safe for actual use while humans are in a space. So effective pathogen killers while being able to be used continuously. And we have been doing quite a bit of research on that.
Well, your lights might go on Tesla's spaceship to Mars to keep the free of bacteria. That's where
they would definitely work. They would definitely work for that. So 10, 20 years from now, we should be ready.
You guys it sounds like you're looking ahead a lot of times, finding the right opportunities. What do you see as the next opportunity in lighting, or do you not know yet?
Honestly, we think that disinfection is probably one of like the most intriguing.
It's the sexiest, that's for sure.
Upcoming opportunities, and we're finding a lot of short-term success with it, and a lot of interest. So we're focusing a lot of attention on that. I think horticultural lighting is going to continue to improve. We came out with LED grow lights 10 years ago, and now it's the standard 10 years later. So we definitely were onto something then. We've also been developing some smart city solutions. We have another product out of LSC Technologies called CitySafe that's used by some large ESCOs. And we think that's a really intriguing position to be in as IoT platforms continue to get built out. We have some kind of core functions that provide security for cities and safety systems. And I think that's an interesting application to utilize lighting to leverage other platforms. Where it will go from here, I mean, it's going to be interesting. LED continues to get better and better every year. Mm-hmm. What's the next technology after LED? It doesn't seem like anything's really presenting itself. I'd be interested to hear if you guys have seen anything that you think will kind of come next.
Not in terms of lighting technology, no. I think a lot of the talk has been about production, how we'll ever be able to measure that, and performance, and then the whole control thing we could dive into, but enough of that. We're not selling it for this.
And Webb, it's been 30 minutes.
I'm gonna have to run here shortly.
Yeah, I think you got to run. So I think that's a good point to wrap it up. Brian Webb, thanks for having us to your shop here.
Of course.
Thank you.
And I really enjoyed the conversation. You guys have a great company. I love the way you're kind of like a spider's web that gets ripped here and creeps over here into different things. It's really exciting to see a business like this that you guys are in. What was that name that you wrote down? White lighting
opportunity.
White lighting opportunity.
Yeah, that's the title of the show.
I like it. Well, thanks very much for having us on. It was a pleasure talking to you guys today.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll talk in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, baby. KeystoneTech.com. How many times have I said that?
I could count, but it's quite a few. Let's put it at that.
You know what's funny, man? That's because they're an innovative company. I don't mind saying it. It's my honor to say it because they make good products and they're run by good people, and we love Keystone.
That's right. You go to their website at any point and you're going to find something new. I'm looking at it now, and there's something I didn't know they had, but they now have it, and it's a unique, innovative solution for recessed cans and emergency lighting. That's needed. They've got something for it. So continue to look at what they've got. They're always offering new, innovative products. They have great service, great pricing, everything you can ask for in a LED lighting manufacturer.
So go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. Proud NELD members, National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, coming out hot. People are joining this association again. They're coming back. Our old friends are coming back. We're making new friends. Why don't we be friends, son? So you can join NAIL just like everybody else is. If you have a warehouse with light bulbs in it, and you sell those light bulbs to commercial, industrial, contractors, that sort of thing, what are you doing, man? This is your association. What are you thinking, man? Come on down. Biloxi, Mississippi, 19th to 22nd. That's where we're all hanging out. All the peeps that do that are hanging out in Biloxi, Mississippi. Why don't you come on down and join us? So go to NAIL.
That's in April, by the way.
Did I say April?
April 19th. You just said the 19th through the 22nd. So that's about 12 different options there. We're going to go April of 2020.
Thank God for Greg. What would I do without Greg? So go to KeystoneTech.com, go to nail.org, and make sure Greg checks it out before I say anything, folks. Thanks for listening.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, Lord is there to find you.